All right, so here are the first two examples for 6, 7. And again, we're just reviewing these 4 steps. Look for GCF, difference of squares if it's 2 terms, a star if it's 3 terms, and a box if it's 4 terms. So far, we've only had 1 from 2 terms. All right, let's look at example 3. This one actually has 4 terms. So if we go back for a second, the 4 terms one was the box. So we're going to use our box here. We're going to just plug in the 2a cubed and the 10a squared, and then the a, and then the 5. You just put one term in each box, and then you're just looking for common factors. You want to see if there's anything across the top that you could take out of both. And they both can be divided by 2, and they both have at least a squared. This one only has a squared. This one has a cubed, so you could take 2 a's out of there and still have an a left over. This one at the bottom has no common factor, so when there's nothing, you just put a 1. Going straight down here, you see that they both have an a in common. And going straight down this column, you could divide both of those numbers by 5. Here's your 2 parentheses. They're right there in the problem. A plus 5 and 2a squared plus 1. If you did FOIL to those, if you did this times this, these, and these, you would get right back where you started. So we're just looking for these 2 parentheses would be the answer. Semester 1, right? All right, so that was example 3. Example 4, today I'm doing the algebra 2 one, so you guys are just working on your own. This one's got 3 terms. So 3 terms, you go back to 3 terms over here. Always look for GCF to see if there's a GCF, and then 3 terms is star. So let's see if there's a GCF. This one has x4, this one has x2, this one doesn't have any x's, so no GCF. So here was the first thing, always look for a GCF first, and in this case we did not have a GCF. The next one was look for a difference of squares. Second, always look for a difference of squares. Look to see if you need the star, and then use the box if you don't. And we should fix it in letter C. So this one we're going to need a star for. If there's a number in front, which in this case is just a 1, you would multiply the first times the last. So you're just going to get 25 because 1 times 25 is 25. The middle number always goes on the bottom. So you can see I already put the negative 10 down there at the bottom. The x, and in this case I'm going to need x squared, and x squared goes on top because x squared times x squared is going to give me my x to the 4th that I need in front. So I'm going to put x squared there. 2 numbers that would multiply to give me 25 that would add up to negative 10 would be negative 5 and negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5 would be positive 25. And when you add those together, you would get negative 10. So x squared minus 5 and another x squared minus 5 would be your answer. And you could always rewrite that as x squared minus 5 squared. If you have 2 of the exact same parentheses, you could put squared. So that's how the star works. Okay, so let's practice on a few now. So those are basically what we're going to be doing for all of 6, 7 is just practicing. So moving on. Letter A here, I gave you a hint. GCF is 3, and then it's a difference of squares. So you're going to take out a 3 and get m to the 4th minus 1. And then it's a difference of squares. This is m squared times m squared. And this is 1 times 1. So you're going to get m squared plus 1, m squared minus 1, and you're going to bring down a 3. Now, there is one last thing you could do here, because this m squared minus 1 is another difference of squares. Because it's a minus, it's a difference. You can't do it to the first one, but you can to this one. So you get m plus 1 and m minus 1. You'd have to bring down the m squared plus 1, because you can't, that's already factored. And then you have to bring down the 3. So there's actually 4 terms in our answer there. We got 3, we got the m squared plus 1, the m plus 1, and the m minus 1. Letter B is just a star. No GCF. There's nothing you can take out. So draw a star here. 16 is going to go on top because 1 times 16 would be 16. 8 is going on the bottom. I'm going to put x to the third because when I multiply x to the third times x to the third, that's how I get this x to the 6. I'm going to put x to the third on the top of my star. And multiply to give me 16, add up to 8 would be 4 and 4. You're going to get x to the third plus 4, and you're going to get another x to the third plus 4, so I'm just going to put squares, because it's 2 of the same parentheses. You don't need to write it twice if you want to just put squares. Okay, so letter C, don't forget to multiply the first and the last number to get the top. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. And negative 1 here will go on the bottom. And 3x goes on the top because x times x will give me the x squared this time. I'm going to leave the 3 there because I'm going to reduce one of them. So let's see, multiply to give us negative 12 add up to negative 1. I think would be negative 4 and 3. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. The bottom number and the bigger number have to be the same sign. And you can reduce the 3/3 to 1 over 1. So that's going to give you a parenthesis of 3x minus 4. This one is just x plus 1. And you have your answer there. D is 4 terms, so you're just going to put them in the box. 12x squared, negative 2x, negative 8. You just put one term in each square and just look for GCF across and look for GCF down. So across the top, they can be divided by 3 and x squared. They both have a negative on the bottom, so I got to put a negative, and you can divide them both by 2. 2 goes into 8, 2 goes into 2. Here is just x. Only thing you can divide both of these by is an x. And here you have a 4. So x plus 4 and 3x squared minus 2. So that would be factoring a box. 4 terms. So you just put those 4 terms in the box, and you have it. And the last page on the front here only has 2 quick examples, and I did give you hints for them, so let's try them. See what it looks like. You guys okay here? Got up? Okay. On this one, the GCF is 8x. So I'm telling you right off the bat, the GCF is 8x. So that means take an 8x out. Pull an 8x out of both terms. You've taken out an 8, you're taking out an x, you'll still have x squared. 200 divided by 8 is 25, and the x comes out. So it's x squared minus 25. Then you're going to do a difference of squares here. X times x, and 5 times 5. One's a plus, one's a minus, and you bring down the 8x. That would be fully factored. Letter F, you're going to take out a y cubed. You'll get y squared minus 2y minus 35. So you take 2 y's out of all 3 terms. I took 2 y's out of here, or 3 y's out of here, I got 2 left. Took 3 out of here, I had 1 left. Took 3 out of here, I had none left. And then we're going to use our star. 1 times 35, negative 35 would be negative 35. You need a negative 2 on the bottom. Let's see, multiply to give me negative 35, add up to negative 2. Only things that multiply to give us 35 are 7 and 5, so it's got to be negative 7, positive 5. Y to the third, and then you got your 2 parentheses, y minus 7, and y plus 5. So that's just 6.7. In a nutshell, just reviewing factoring. We've been doing that for the whole chapter, and they just reviewed that for those four. On the back side is section 6.8. Good here? Okay, so 6.8, you've got the zero product property, which basically says when two numbers multiply and you get 0, one of them had to be 0. So if you multiply two numbers together and you get a 0 for your answer, one of them had to be 0 somewhere. So you should write this in that box. That's what goes in the box. You're just going to do it later, Jacob, or something? What was that? All right, so if these two parentheses, if you multiply this parenthesis times this parenthesis, and your answer is 0, then one of the two of them had to be 0. Either this one was 0 or this one was 0. One of the two. The only way to get a 0 for an answer is to have one of your factors be 0. So if we want to solve for x in this case, we can just set each one of those equal to 0 and find out what we get. So we would set 5x plus 1 equal to 0. You would subtract 1 on both sides, divide by 5, and you would get negative 1/5. So that would be one of your answers, negative 1/5. So setting this first one equal to 0, you would see that negative 1/5. If I put negative 1/5 up here into this problem right here, if I put negative 1/5 in for x, that's going to make this parenthesis come out as a 0. You're going to get 0 times some fraction, but when you multiply by 0, you're going to get 0. So one answer is negative 1/5. In this case, when you add 7 to both sides, you're going to get x equals 7. So if I put a 7 up here, 7 minus 7, even if I put a 7 in both of them, because that's what I'm saying x is. If I put a 7 in both of them, I'm getting 36 times 0, which is going to be 0. Doesn't matter what you get in the first parentheses. If the second one is 0, then your answer is going to be 0. So your job in this case is to make sure the two parentheses equal 0, and then you can set them both equal to 0 and solve them. Okay, so example 2 on the next side here. You're multiplying x times 2x minus 9, and it's equaling 0. That means x could be 0, because 0 times anything would be 0 there. So x could be a 0. 2x minus 9 could also be 0. If this one's 0, it doesn't matter what x is. So if we add 9 to both sides, get 2x equals 9, and divide by 2, get x equals 9/2. So 0 and 9/2. Those would be my two solutions. 0 and 9/2. Look at example 3. It's not equaling 0. Step 1 is telling us get it equal to 0 first. So you should add 16 to both sides, so that will cancel out. So add 16. So this is going to be x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. then you would use your star. So you'd put the 16 on top, because 1 times 16 would be 16. You'd put the negative 8 on the bottom, x and x. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, and negative 4 plus negative 4 is negative 8. So you're going to get x minus 4 and another x minus 4. You have to set both of them equal to 0. And the answer is no, because you're going to get the same answer. So just set one of them equal to 0, add 4 to both sides. X is going to equal 4. So 4 will be your answer there. You would get 4 on both parentheses, so you don't need to do them both. You're going to get the same answer. So set it equal to 0, factor it into the two parentheses. That's why we learned how to factor, so that we could set them equal to 0 and solve them. That was the purpose for factoring, to get it so we can solve them. Can't solve them if you can't solve them in this format right here. You got to get it down into this format. Example 4. Use the star, then set each equal to 0. So let's do a star first. We're going to put a 6 on top, because 1 times 6 would be 6. 5 on the bottom. Our x goes on the top, and I think 3 times 2 is 6. 3 plus 2 is 5. So x plus 3 and x plus 2. This is one parenthesis, that's your other parentheses. Set them both equal to 0, and just solve them. X plus 3 equals 0, we would subtract 3, and negative 3 is one answer. X plus 2 equals 0, you divide or you subtract 2, and negative 2 is your other answer. So 3 and negative 2 would be your two solutions. The roots means answers. So it says find the roots. Finding the roots just means find the two solutions. So what we had to do is set it equal to 0 in order to do that. So you can see, hint, set it equal to 0, take out a GCF, which is x, and then set each equal to 0 and solve. So let's put equal 0 right there. If we want to find the roots, we've got to set it equal to 0. Let's take out the GCF, like they said, x. So x comes out, you're still going to have one of the x's. If you take an x out of there, it's just going to be minus 5. So set them both equal to 0. X minus 5 equals 0, and then add 5. X equals 5. So 5 and 0 would be your two answers. There's just one left, one example. Example 6, it says another one that says find the roots. Again, roots means answers. So we want to actually find the answers or find the solutions there when it says roots. So that means take the 4x squared minus 25 and set it equal to 0. You want to get it equal to 0 to solve it. This one is a difference of squares. This is 2x and 2x. This one's 5 times 5. So 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 5. Set this first one equal to 0. Set the second one equal to 0. These are just two little two-step equations. Subtract 5 and divide by 2. You get negative 5 over 2. And your other one's going to be a positive 5 over 2 because it's the opposite parentheses, just has opposite signs. You added 5 and divided by 2. So that's how I got the 5 over 2. But whenever you have a difference of squares, your answers are just going to be opposite. So negative 5 over 2 and positive 5 over 2. All right, so for you guys,